Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus Channel. The Littoral Combat Ship was designed to be the fast, modular knife fighter of the modern U.S. Navy. A compact surface combatant built for shallow water threats, high speed, and flexible missions near shore. The program began in 2002, and rather than settle on one hull, the Navy fielded two: the steel monohull Freedom variant and the aluminum trimaran Independence variant. Official Navy fact files still describe the class as a fast, agile, mission-focused warship for littoral operations, centered on mission packages for mine countermeasures and surface warfare. That basic concept shapes daily life on board. An LCS was never meant to feel like a floating city. It was built to feel lean, automated, and demanding, with a smaller crew carrying more visible responsibility inside tighter spaces. That smaller scale changes how sailors live and work. Automation cuts manpower, but it also means fewer people absorb the same pressure of watch standing, maintenance, aviation support, and small boat operations. On an LCS, the ship feels compact enough that machinery, combat systems, and workspaces all seem only steps away. The result is a deployed routine that feels intense rather than sprawling. Sailors are not hidden inside a giant vessel. They live close to the action, close to the equipment, and close to one another, giving the ship a team-driven atmosphere very different from larger combatants. Though designed for littoral warfare, the class has also sailed farther into blue water than many expected. That matters because it proves the LCS is not merely a coastal experiment. It can push into deeper seas, carry out presence missions, and still bring aviation, sensors, and weapons into the fight. Flight operations are central to that identity. An MQ-8 Fire Scout landing on a moving LCS shows just how much work is packed into a relatively small hull. On a lively deck, sailors have to choreograph every movement because the aircraft extends the ship's surveillance and strike reach far beyond the horizon. The weapons show how much the class evolved. The Navy highlights improvements that include the Naval Strike Missile, the Mk-70 Payload Delivery System, and mission-focused unmanned systems. Add CRAM for close-in defense, and the 57mm Mk-110 gun for fast surface engagements. And the small combatant becomes much more lethal than its size suggests. Naval Strike Missile launches demonstrated over-the-horizon punch, CRAM firings proved quick reaction defense. And the forward gun remains the visual symbol of a ship built to react quickly in contested waters. And yet, the LCS story has always carried a limit. The program never expanded exactly as first imagined, and the Navy gradually narrowed where these ships fit best. That tension defines life aboard them. Sailors operate a warship that is both innovative and debated. One that made history, launched missiles, flew unmanned aircraft, and proved real operational value, even while the service adjusted its expectations. In the end, the LCS reveals how Americans can live and work inside a roughly $600 million combat ship that trades mass for speed, automation, and constant versatility at sea. That is why every evolution feels larger aboard an LCS. A helicopter recovery, a missile test, a sea and anchor detail, or a watch change, all involve a crew small enough that individual competence becomes visible. The ship's compact size also makes the sea feel bigger. In rough weather and long patrols, sailors do not simply serve inside a platform. They feel the motion, hear the machinery, and experience the combat system as part home, part workplace, and part forward weapon node. Every day aboard demands focus, flexibility, teamwork, and stamina. If the Littoral Combat Ship feels lean and experimental, the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer feels like the Navy's hardened workhorse, bigger, heavier, and built for sustained multi-mission warfighting. Official Navy fact files describe DDG-51 destroyers as ships with offensive and defensive roles across anti-air, anti-submarine, and anti-surface warfare. While newer Flight 3 ships add the AN Spy-6 air and missile defense radar. The class entered service in 1991 and is still in production, a remarkable fact that says a great deal about how useful the design has remained. The Navy says 74 ships have already been delivered, with many more on contract or under construction. So when sailors deploy aboard an Arleigh Burke, they are not stepping into an experiment. They are stepping into one of the most important and successful warship classes in modern naval history. That scale changes daily life immediately. A destroyer stretches roughly 505 to 509.5 feet, displaces about 8,230 to 9,700 long tons, and moves at more than 30 knots. Flight 2A ships carry a crew of 329, while Flight 3 crews rise to 359.
Test complete. Regard our further alarms.
Those numbers explain why life inside a Burke feels broader, denser, and more layered than life aboard an LCS. There are more divisions, more systems, more maintenance spaces, more ladders, more passageways, and more specialists keeping the ship alive. Sailors stand watches, repair gear, maintain lines, handle stores, and support operations across a vessel that is effectively a small industrial combat town. The offensive side of that life is just as impressive. The Navy lists the Standard Missile Family, Tomahawk, Vertical Launch ASROC, ESSM, CIWS, torpedoes, and the 5-inch Mk-45 gun among the class's core weapons. A DDG also carries 2 Mk-41 vertical launching systems, 2 Mk-32 torpedo mounts, and advanced radar and sonar systems. In practical terms, that means the destroyer is built to fight in every direction. It can launch long-range strike weapons, defend against aircraft and missiles, hunt submarines, and smash close threats with gunfire and CIWS. When live fire events begin, the ship stops looking like a gray steel neighborhood and starts looking like what it really is: a heavily armed combat system with sailors living inside the machinery of war. But a destroyer is not just missiles and radar. It is constant maintenance. That is why so much of real life aboard an Arleigh Burke happens in line handling, corrosion control, inspections, repairs, and machinery upkeep. Sailors paint, chip, tighten, test, and replace because saltwater punishes every surface and every fitting. The ship must remain lethal, but it also has to remain habitable and operational day after day. That creates the true destroyer rhythm. Brief flashes of kinetic power surrounded by endless hours of disciplined labor. HII's construction facts make that even easier to picture. A DDG includes about 322 miles of cable, 185,000 feet of pipe, and roughly 450,000 square feet of insulation, enough to cover the roof of the Superdome in New Orleans. It takes about 4 years to build and weighs around 9,300 tons. Those statistics explain why sailors aboard a destroyer are always surrounded by systems. Every launch, radar track, and engineering report depends on an enormous hidden network of machinery, power, and maintenance running behind the bulkheads. That hidden complexity turns routine into serious labor for every mate, watch team, and sailor aboard ship. From there, the story descends even deeper into the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, where some of the most important work on the ship happens far below the flight deck and almost completely out of public view. The modern U.S. carrier force grew from the success of USS Enterprise and matured with the Nimitz class, whose 2 reactors produce more power than Enterprise's original 8-reactor arrangement. Nuclear propulsion changed the scale of naval life because it gave carriers immense endurance, high sustained speed, and the power needed to move giant ships that also launch and recover aircraft as floating air bases. Official naval nuclear propulsion material says more than 40% of the Navy's major combatants are nuclear-powered, including 11 aircraft carriers, and the system's long service record has covered well over 177 million miles safely steamed on nuclear power. Those numbers reveal why life inside a nuclear carrier feels different from life aboard any conventional surface combatant. Inside the machinery rooms, sailors in the nuclear field work in a world defined by steam, pressure, turbines, auxiliaries, and strict procedure. Navy career material describes machinists' mates nuclear as the Navy's nuclear reactor mechanics, responsible for maintenance on the steam-powered propulsion plants aboard aircraft carriers and submarines. My Navy HR's occupational standards go even further, describing MMNs as sailors who operate and maintain naval nuclear propulsion plants and associated equipment, including reactor plants, propulsion plants, and auxiliary support systems such as air compressors, freshwater production plants, steam turbines, shaft line components, refrigeration, air conditioning, and feed systems. In other words, these are the people who help turn reactor heat into movement, electricity, and daily survivability inside one of the largest warships ever built. That makes their role both technical and physical. Below deck, machinists and other nuclear sailors monitor systems, handle maintenance, respond to abnormalities, and keep exact standards, because the machinery spaces are not forgiving. Everything depends on precision. Steam must be controlled, pumps must perform, auxiliaries must stay within limits, and every check must be documented. The crew on the flight deck may launch the air wing, but the sailors below are what keep the carrier moving at over 30 knots and operating as a self-contained, nuclear-powered city. In the end, this is the deepest expression of how U.S. sailors live and work inside major combat ships. From the fast, compact LCS, to the heavily armed destroyer, to the nuclear carrier's machinery rooms, life at sea is built on discipline, endurance, and people who keep complex warships alive under pressure. Their work is continuous. Even when no one sees these sailors, they are sustaining propulsion, power generation, water production, climate control, and the heartbeat that allows the ship to fight, sustain air wings, and live at sea for months. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.